Welcome to The Lift with Sheila Robinson Kiss. Come on in. There's always a special place set aside for you here where you can relax, kick up your heels, pour yourself a nice, refreshing drink, and prepare to be lifted and soar. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to The Lift with Sheila Robinson Kiss. We've got it all here: mental health, movement, motivation, and the best relationship advice around. So if you're loving what I'm doing, please don't forget to subscribe and share the news of the channel with your friends and family. I cannot wait to dive into this topic. I received a letter from Brian. Brian, you've written me before, so things are heating up in your love life, as I can see. Our topic is deadly silence. Deadly silence. People who won't deal with anything. Let's dive right in. Let me read the letter, and then, as always, I have some advice for you. Dear Sheila, love the channel. I'm in a situationship. Okay, most of us can relate with that and need some serious clarification. The woman I'm dating literally knocked me off my feet. It has been an exhilarating 6 months. We recently had our first big blow up, and the next day she came over with pizza and her overnight bag like nothing happened. A few days ago, there was another incident. She didn't want to talk about it or discuss it. I'm enjoying her, but she can block things out so easily and just keep moving on. On one hand, this is great. On the other, it makes me nervous. Auntie Sheila, please clear this up for me, Brian. So this Auntie Sheila reference, I have a lot of inside jokes with some of my subscribers, and they'll write me, say, oh my God, you're like my cousin, you're like my aunt. So I am literally going to create a portal. It's called Auntie Sheila. This is where you can send all your stuff, your questions, whether you think I'm your auntie, your cousin, whatever. If the mental health messages are getting through, I'll take it. So, all right, Brian. I have some very serious advice. Lean in, listen up to your Auntie Sheila. I have some very real advice for you. I think you need to back up and slow your roll, because yeah, on one hand, it's nice. This person can kind of, oh, whoa, we had a blow up and let's kind of just carry on. I like carrying on. Okay. But the problem I'm having is you're carrying on and it hasn't been dealt with. And I suspect that it hasn't been dealt with. This person doesn't deal with it because they don't know how. In many cases, when you're dealing with someone who is they can compartmentalize, the blinders are on, whatever happens, they can just power through it. That 9 times out of 10 doesn't have to do with their exceptional abilities in life or superpowers. It's actually the opposite, because that skill set has not been cultivated to process, to deal with emotions, to ask the tough questions. And I will tell you, you guys know that I'm for relationships, I'm for families, I'm for high harmony. But every relationship, doesn't matter, it could be a mother and a daughter, it can be friends, it can be your colleagues. You're going to hit an impasse at some point in time where the only thing you have is the tool of communication to clarify, to deal with it. And people who just won't deal with things, this is where the rubber can meet the road, and it can become frustrating, in some cases impossible to resolve it, to move to the next step. So I want to explain to you, Brian, and everyone else who's listening, the three dangers of, number one, if you're a person and you're listening, and Sheila, have to tell you the truth, this really sounds like me. I don't like to deal with things. I'm non-communicative. I really don't want to talk. So I'm going to lay out the dangers of either being this person and not challenging yourself and risking vulnerability and all that comes with that to come out of it. Or what are the dangers if you continue to go down the path with someone who just won't deal with things? And there are many dangers, but I want to highlight the top three. First, what you will do is really enable this behavior. Even if you're a person, you could be the best communicator in the world, but if you're dealing with someone and something pops off and they just won't deal with it, and you kind of like, okay, I'm just going to keep going along with this and going along with this, eventually the weight of all the years of enabling that, it's going to catch up with you. A couple of years ago, I was sitting with a man, and he got linked up with this woman. They got married. She was really, writing out checks and loved those credit cards and all this stuff. And he would eventually, he'd look at the finances. There may be a blow up. She'd kind of sit like a little schoolgirl, not say anything, not deal with it. And he never pushed her on it and kind of turned the other way. And this would happen over the years. And then everything came to a head when he discovered that this woman had took out lines of credit. He had no idea that they were a couple hundred thousand, not a couple hundred, a couple 100,000 in debt. And it was literally years ago. Had it been dealt with, this is where we're at financially. These are the expectations. This cannot happen. We need to sit down once a month and open up our finances. It would have been a totally different story. But again, head in the sand. This was an individual who just didn't want to deal with anything. He became a man, dealing with her who didn't want to deal with anything. And this is what you have when you enable this kind of behavior. That's just one example. Second thing I want you to look out for, when you entertain this, if you are this person or you are dealing with someone who doesn't want to deal with anything, you literally start to adopt an anything goes mentality. What do I mean by that? I'll put myself in the hot seat. I'm very transparent with this channel. I've shared with all of you for the sake of healing and moving forward. I can remember as a kid, as 9 or 10 years old, I got into it with one of the neighborhood kids. This person had, pushed me down, took my little money when I was on the way to the store. I went home. I told my mother, expecting some type of reinforcement, something for this to be dealt with. But guess what? I grew up in a non-communicative household. Don't deal with anything. Get up, pretend nothing happened. Your feelings get hurt. Suck it up. So I will tell you what that created over the years was a person. By the time I left home, it was, well, better keep your mouth shut. Don't deal with anything. Go along. I have paid a very heavy price. I cleaned that mess up. I have cleaned that mess up. when I left home and realized, girl, you got some training. You better get with this and get with it real fast. I am telling you that if you don't get yourself out of that, you will be served. You're going to get served in this lifetime because people take all kinds of liberties. Beautiful people are attracted to this channel. Nice people. We are good. We want to lift up the world. That's just the community that you're a part of. Everyone is not like that. You have people, they will take advantage of you. They will do anything to you just because they figure out, ooh, I got a live one here. I can. And this will happen. It is damaging. It is impairing. That's why this message is so critical today. If you are a person who deals internally in intimidation, you haven't given yourself that permission, have not cultivated that skill to speak up, I'm here to tell you, you have birthrights, God-given rights. You need to ask questions. out here. You need to get clarification when you don't understand what is happening. When something is not right, doesn't feel right, it crosses a boundary, you need to be able to open up your mouth and say, no, that is not okay with me. This is not an anything goes kind of situation here. You have to be able to do that. And if it's not something you receive growing up, you don't have that naturally cultivated, then guess what? It is never too late to back up and acquire that skill, to train yourself on that skill. Doesn't matter if you're nervous, your hand shake, you must learn. This is not an anything goes kind of life you're living. To speak up. I've seen just someone say, this is not okay. I want to go in another different direction. This is the idea that I have. I've seen that make people millions of dollars. I've seen that snap relationships back in place because people are out of line and they need to know right up front, it's not going to fly here. You have to do that advocacy work for yourself and for your life. And when you're just that person who just, anything goes, I'm not going to deal with it, it's impossible to keep your life lifted. On the other hand, when you have someone speaking to you specifically now, Brian, this is an individual. I can come up, you have a blow up and they show up with pizza and an overnight bag the day later. Here's the other danger. Here's the other danger. Somewhere, even if we don't process it with our mouth and speak and emotionally, intellectually, the body is going to process. The body keeps score. You may not deal with it, but that gets stuffed away somewhere. Somewhere that is tucked away, and that energy is going to come out. That's going to be processed one way or the other, and it's going to be processed sideways. I worked with a man some years ago, and I will tell you, he grew up, unfortunately, with a brother who was just a bully. And he would just, from the time they were small, it was just not kind. This went into their adult years, and they were at a family gathering one day, and I will tell you, his brother made some off-color comment. I mean, they are full-grown men now, and he just flew into a rage, literally cut his brother's, sliced his face to the point he had to have multiple stitches in his face. I mean, he didn't even know what hit him, but it was the years and years of hostility and just pent up rage. And he attacked the full force of all that he had dealt with over the years. So, that third piece I want you to keep in mind: when you don't deal with things, or you are in relationship with someone who won't deal with things, it's going to breed resentment for them, and it's going to cause a lot of resentment for you as well. I cannot stress it enough. In this lifetime, the ability to communicate and communicate clearly, ladies and gentlemen, it checks off all the boxes. It truly, truly does. I recently put up a Facebook and Instagram post where I was talking about my feelings about rejection and coming to appreciate that, because the rejection frees me up. I have more time to do what I need to do. Quite frankly, you get to the point where that kind of direct communication, whether it's verbal or nonverbal, it's refreshing. It is absolutely refreshing because, woo, I'm on in another direction. I recently sat with a woman and she said, I'm just so hurt. I'm sorry. I said, why are you hurt? I really thought I had something here. I thought he was the one who was going to go somewhere. And Sheila, he looked me right in my face and said, you're lovely. I just don't see this going to work out. I said, listen, I know you're disappointed, but what respect? This person came to you in respect. He was dealing with you directly. He could have blown you off. He could have ghosted you. This is a person who had enough respect to tell you to free up your time and your energy. Celebrate that. Celebrate that. That is something that is very rare in this day and age. And I will tell you, when you get to that point where you just welcome that clarity, and I know I'm one who I had to go through, being self-taught, the books and learning it, but I'll tell you, it feels so good. There's such a confidence that comes with that when you can sit down like Brian. My recommendation for you, because I know you've been with me, you've been watching this channel a long time. I know that you do have the skill set to communicate, and you're not an anything type of goals person. I would sit down with this young lady and I would say, listen, I'm observing something, and we've had some situations now and you're not comfortable dealing with it. I'm not sure what that means. That's why I'm coming to you. But I'm a person, I process, I deal with things, I communicate, because it's great when it's great, but eventually we're going to hit something in the relationship where it's not a pizza in an overnight bag isn't going to fix it. So just because you are dealing with someone who, I want to look around, I don't want to do, you don't have to subscribe to that. Bring your skill set to it. Again, if the skill set doesn't exist, start practicing, and start practicing now. With communication, relationships can be saved. Through clarity, you can discern this is not for me. Doors of opportunity open up because you're willing to knock on those doors and deal with it. You're willing to deal with your fear, deal with that resistance, deal with that intimidation. So people who deal, not only can they heal, but they go on to elevate. They go on to elevate. I'll leave you with a final thought. I believe with all of my heart that all of us, we are here with a destiny, a purpose, and if this life is a full on adventure, you can look at it as an adventure or a very tough course that we all have to pass and go through. And I will tell you, the greatest tool of operation is the ability to deal directly and to communicate. And I know it can be choppy if this is new territory for you, but I challenge you, watch the video again and again. Go on, watch some more videos, get some books, but get situated into that energy of, let me investigate, let me find out more. How am I feeling about that? I need to communicate that. And I will tell you what I found over the years. Communication, it makes things better. It makes conflict better because you have clarity. You sleep better at night. You smile more. Those confidence levels go higher and higher. So again, guys, Sheila Robinson, kids call me Auntie Sheila. I'll be your cousin, whatever the case may be. I'm going to be back real soon with some more amazing content. If you're loving what I'm doing, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share the news of the channel with your friends and family. I'll be back real soon. Thanks.